Subnautica is my favorite VR game. Well, maybe not quite, but it's up there. It could be. The sense of wonder and terror it can invoke is unparalleled. Too bad that it sucks. At least the official VR version. Thankfully there are mods to unsuck the game, and there's a new exciting one out there. You really don't need an excuse to get back into Subnautica from time to time, but if you want an excuse, I have one for you right here. And it's a good one. Unknown Worlds Entertainment left the terrible state of the VR mode to modders to fix, and fix they did. Today we will have a look at a new project called SubmersedVR by Bintaro, which takes it a step further. The aim here is not only to fix what was broken, but to bring Subnautica in line with modern VR standards. Subnautica got a pretty substantial patch last December, the Living Large update, which for one added some structures from below zero to the game. It actually fixed some of the core issues with the original VR version after only 4 years, and most importantly, it improved performance. And that improvement is very noticeable in VR. I get higher frame rates across the board, and the frame rate is much more stable now, even in the kelp forest, which was pretty rough before this update. If you see some stuttering here, that is because I am recording. When I don't have OBS running, it's smooth sailing. So if you were having performance issues with Subnautica VR before, it is worth checking back in. At least for me, it runs much better now. Even with the fixes to the VR mode, which are appreciated, Subnautica is still far away from using the VR medium to its fullest potential, and that is where SubmersedVR comes in. Great name by the way. First of all, this mod is still in early development. We will cover here what the mod does and what it does not do yet. And I say yet because there's a roadmap which basically contains everything I would like to see in the perfect VR version of Subnautica. Apart from fixing all the broken shit, the mod adds basic motion controls, which changes up a few gameplay elements. You can now look at things, which is fun. Menu interaction is way smoother than with a gamepad. You can just aim and click instead of having to scroll through items. You can aim and look at different directions, which doesn't have a huge impact on gameplay, but enhances it a little bit when using something like the graph gun. But also just picking up stuff feels quite a bit smoother, as it is now easier to just grab things while swimming by. There are limitations though. First of all, let's get the elephant out of the room. There's no motion controlled swimming and no motion controlled vehicle interaction yet. Both things I would love to see, and both things are actually on the roadmap of the mod, so hopefully they will be implemented in the future. Another limitation is that the game is light on direct interactions with the environment, but that is not a fault of the mod, that is just how Subnautica works. The player interacts with the world mainly through menus. Even if you pick stuff up, it's not like you get a pickup animation, it all happens remotely. In that regard, Subnautica does not offer the best blueprint for a VR port, but it's working, it's fine, it works in VR about as well as it does in the flat game. One exception is the PDA. In this mod you actually hold it in your hand, it does not just pop up on your screen as any other menu. I love that, that's way more immersive. There's an Half-Life Alyx style radial menu for your quick slot items, which works perfectly fine. The mod also adds a virtual keyboard for naming things. That is a big deal actually. I remember having to lift up my headset to type stuff on the keyboard, which really takes you out of the experience. Subnautica is one of the most immersive VR games I have ever played, maybe the most immersive. So everything that takes you out of that is bad. The virtual keyboard, as small as it may seem, really is a tremendous addition to the game.
What else can I say? The only time I parked a rig this big on a rock that small was in VR, and I blew it.
You will need two things to install the mod. First is PepNX for Subnautica, which is a modding framework for Unity games. There's a link in the description below. Go to latest release, then download the zip archive, then do the same thing for the mod itself. Again, link description. Simply extract both archives into your Subnautica install directory, and that's it, now you're good to go. SubmersedVR is not compatible with the VR Enhancements mod or the older Subnautica Motion Controls mod, so if you have any of these installed, you will need to remove them first. There are some smaller things that could be polished up a little bit. The intro sequence where you crash land in the oceans is a bit janky. It's not a big deal, but it's the first experience people will have with the mod, so might be worth cleaning up. I wish you could grab and let go of the sea glide, that would be extremely cool. Now it's just attached to your hand. When cutting through a door with the laser cutter, I wish you would need to trace the outline of the hole instead of just aiming in the general direction and pushing the trigger. Would be cool if you could swing the knife to use it. Now you just aim and press trigger as it is in the flat game. All of these are no complaints, by the way. The mod already adds so much to the Subnautica VR experience. These are just opportunities to make it even better. I did have a problem with the controls though on the Valve Index. I was not able to swap batteries. There's an action defined for that, so I just changed the control to cycle batteries to the left and right grip. That worked fine for me. Another thing I changed was to put my jump on the right thumbstick by pressing it down. In the default controls it was on the left trackpad and I was having a hard time jumping from sprint. Not that you would do that much in the game, but there are times where it will come in handy. I made my control scheme public, I think, so if you are playing on the Index and have difficulties with the batteries too, you can try mine. I initially wanted to call this video Subnautica is the perfect VR game now. I'll hold off on that for now. We are not there yet, but we will be when everything that is on SubmersedVR's roadmap is implemented. I do hope that me bringing a bit attention to the project helps, at least a little bit, in making that happen. Subscribe to the channel because you don't want to miss this video whenever that might come. That is all from me today, just wanted to give you guys a little update on what is happening on the Subnautica VR modding front. It's way too warm where I live right now. That is actually the best time to play Subnautica VR. After just a couple of minutes you really feel like you are underwater. It's another dimension of immersion. Good times. See you in the next one.